Okay, good afternoon. Today, this is the group 5. We are just 2 members out of 5. Today, we are going to present the effects of ESG disclosure on the cost of capital in SME, that is small and medium enterprise. The role of family business status. Before to go to the article, we have to check some definitions. So first, we can check in the title. We are going to check the definition of ESG disclosure. What is this one? Cost of capital, and also the role of family business. Okay, first we are going to talk about environmental, social, and governance. ESG. E is from environment. Here, the companies analyze the impact that they have on the environment, about how is the footprint, the green footprint that they have over the environment, also over the animals, if they affect them. The the S is from social. So here we can check 2 aspects, is inside and outside. The inside aspect evaluate the policies and guidelines that the companies has with the employees, and also with the outside is with the other companies. So here we can evaluate the impact in the community and the social development. Community, we can understand about the community around the company, so neighborhoods around the company, the factory, and also another partners like um, suppliers or customers as well. G is from governance. So here we can evaluate the business ethics, clear anti-corruption policies, corporate diversity, and a robust compliance environment. So for example, in corporate diversity, we can evaluate if the company make social inclusion from like LGBT community, minorities, and other people. Continue. So this one is the first main concept that we are going to talk about. The second one is the cost of capital. In a very brief way, the cost of capital is the rate of return that creditors and shareholders demand from the resources that they give to the company. It means that, for example, if a company needs resources, they can get it with 2 ways. The first one is from creditors, and the second one is the shareholders. So from creditors, the money it will call debt, and the interest rate of the loan will be the number that we have to consider to calculate the cost of capital. Also, the company can get resources from shareholders, that is called equity. And to calculate the cost of capital from shareholders, it will be take into account the rate of return over the investment. So it means that how much the investors wants to get in return about the money that they are investing in the company. So we can appreciate here, this is the formula of the cost of capital. So first is the cost of equity, that is what shareholders need and wants as a return of their investment, and the cost of debt, that is the rate of interest. So now we are going to check the ESG disclosure and how this affect the cost of capital. So for this one, Rag is going to help us.
Thank you so much, David. And I'm going to carry on from my teammate and talking about the ESG. Generally, it's going to talk about the implication of ESG, cost of capital in their SME business. So because we based on the research article, so what we found so far in the research article, they said 2 are noticeable points. First of all, SME benefit from ESG may be limited. This is because of its simple business management structure, its significant dependence on the bank's financing, which is this is gonna make them look like they are subject to bank oversight. Second point, ESG in SME may increase the cost of capital. This is because of If SME want to adopt ESG, meaning that they require certain technical knowledge, advertising skill, organizational planning, and higher managerial effort, and so on. So this is the 2 points that the author in the research article found out so far. So now we're going to look at what our team, me and David, found so far after the research in our projects. Next slide, please. So what we found so far, that we know that SME, they accumulate their savings and they expand it. And normally SME, small enterprise business, they get the cost of capitals by the creditors, meaning that by the lenders and by probably by the banks and investor and so on. So what we know so far, that the authors say that it's not really important and so probably its benefit, but we found so far that ESG disclosure is very important. First of all, it improves the company image and generate to the profit and sales. Second of all, it's gonna attract more investments. And third of all, it's gonna improve community relations, improve relation with the regulator, and finally, it's improve employee morale, which is leading to the higher productivity. I just want to take the notice that before ESG probably not really important, and it's not really noticed by many companies. But right now, if you want to go public, you want to get a stock market, you need the ESG reporting. Not just only for such example for the Facebook and so forth. Facebook have failed the ESG this year because of the regulation that they found so far about the data privacy. Yes, just for example. Next slide. And this is another slide that we find out how important of SME in the world business. And also we would like to recommend that SME should switch their focus not only for their cost of capital, but thinking about if they want the cost of capital, if they want to be sustainable, they need to adopt SEG. They need to adopt SEG. I want to emphasize they need to adopt SEG. The recommendation is highly determined for ESG, meaning that they need to adopt the mindset of ESG, try to understand that. Second of all, think digitally, adopt technology. You want to sustain, you should adopt technology. Think ethically, like David say, it's governance, anti-corruption policy, try to adopt that, bring diversity to the SME. And finally, think green, meaning that you need to adopt the environmental friendly. For example, your logistic, for example, what you think so far that can do it by environment, can do it green. So all of this stuff will make you fall into ESG disclosures. Next slide, please. Now we're going to talk about the family owned business, the implication of family owned business, cost of capital, and ESG. So next slide. So family business is totally different from small and medium enterprise business. Or we can say that family owned business varies to non-family owned business because of this structure. Like I have put in the slide, family business, the ownership, governance, management, and successions, all are related to member of the family. It's all related to the member of the family. And I just want to highlight that family business role really important in economy. In Canadian economy, family business account for 63% of nearly 2/3 of all private sector firm. Canada real GDP, family business generated almost 49% in the private sector, around $575 billion. Canada employment also, family business employ around 47% of the private sector and employment. I want to talk a little bit about cost of capital and family-owned business. According to the research, which is Harvard Business Review. They do the business research from 2001 to 2009. They do the interview with a lot of family-owned business, and then they understand that family-owned business try not to relate their try not to borrow a lot of money from creditors because they don't want to relate to investor. They just want the family business into their they just want to family member into their family owned business, not involve a lot with creditors. Yeah, so this is the capital that they tend not to borrow a lot of money. Yeah, next slide please. So family owned business. For right now, what we have the source so far from the PwC that they do it, the report in 2021, the top priority in the family business right now is into the new market client segment, the improving digital capability as well, the new product and new technology, they also improve. However, we see that they're supporting the local community where increased investment are very, very small. So the question right now is it important that family-owned business should adopt ESG? Is it important? Well, from my point of view and from my group, it's very important that we put the question legacy or sustainability. Legacy meaning that we know that family-owned business, they prioritize their legacy. They put their legacy first. But sustainability meaning that if they want to improve their sustainable business into the digital era, modern business, they should think a lot about ESG, environment, social, and governance. And after that, they can sustainable their business so they can bring their legacy. So this is what we found so far. Next slide, please. So this is our recommendation for family business, not really different from SME as well. Adopting the new mindset of ESG, need to understand, ask for help measuring and meeting ESG target. Meaning that if they don't know where to find how to do ESG, they can go to some agency. They can spend a little bit of amount of money, try to understand that, thinking about that, and ask for help. Lead by example, meaning that the family-owned business person should lead by example to the next generations. Strategize the board diversity, thinking about bringing diversification to their governance. So it's supposed to be like this. So family-owned business can slightly and slowly adopt the SEG. Thank you. David will carry on.
Okay, finally, the other concept that we could look in the article, even if it is not in the title, is the agency theory. So how the agency theory affect the cost of capital and the small and medium enterprise. So first we have to understand what is the agency theory. So it means that it's a principle that is used to explain and resolve issues in the relationship between business, principal, and their agents. It means that, for example, if a small company, a restaurant, a small store, they hire a new manager, there will be problems, there will be issues between both the owner and the manager. Why? Because sometimes maybe one of each part is looking for their own objective. So why is this important? Because principals really on agents on execute certain transactions which results in a difference in agreement on priorities and methods affecting the company's performance. So first, how we can resolve these issues? First, we can try to make both parties have the same objective. It means that, for example, if the owner wants to focus on, let's say, environmental disclosure, on environmental aspect for the company, but the manager wants to focus on sales. So first, they have to talk and they have to focus on one same goal. Second one, we also can eliminate information asymmetry through transparency and information disclosure. It means that if they want to reach the same objective, the more information is released, is known by the people, is more difficult for each party to hide information. So that's why in the article they talk about the information disclosure more in the environmental aspect. So, for example, theoretical effects on ESG disclosure on the agency theory. So, due to the application of ESG practices, companies must publicly disclose information on their environmental, social, and governance practices. This makes it more difficult for managers to obtain a specific benefit, because if more people know about the company, what they are doing right now, where are the objectives, where are the activities, so it's more difficult for managers or for owners hide information from the public. Okay, so the affirmation from the research article is that even if a lot of information is shown to the public, and the benefits from ESG disclosure, those benefits just apply for just have been proved for large companies. It means that for small and medium companies is quite an explored area. And the second one, only the environmental disclosure has a positive and statistically significant influence on the cost of capital for small and medium companies. The other companies do not influence the cost of capital. That's why RAG in the previous slides was recommending that companies should think green, because according to the article, this variable was the only factor that affect significantly the cost of capital. The other two variables, governance and social, for small and medium companies doesn't affect the cost of capital of those companies. Okay, so taking into account the agency theory, what are the recommendations for small and medium companies? So first one is to verify the compensation system or objective system that may alter the way that managers manage the company. It means that, for example, we can change, the small companies can change the compensation or the salary from fixed range to a variable range according to the sales or according to the performance in their objectives. The second one is to focus on the effort on the environmental factor. So if companies wants to affect their cost of capital positively through ESG disclosure, they should focus on environmental effort. So the manager, employees, owner, whatever person who is in the company, they should focus also on that objective, because according to the article, that's the only factor that affect positively the cost of capital. So in this way, everybody is looking for the same objective, so which can help to avoid the agency problem. So those are the main definitions and the main variables that the article talk about: agency theory, family business, ESG disclosure, and the cost of capital. So here are some reference from this research, and that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan Arcilla. I will be explaining the concept of social emotional wealth and global reporting initiative. The first concept is social emotional wealth. ESG disclosure on family status SMEs has less effects or impacts on the cost of capital compared to the non-family status SMEs. And this is due to the preservation of social emotional wealth on family status SMEs. These are some of the social emotional wealth effects on SMEs, family business, control, and management processes. The family's main goal is to maintain control of the business. And for the management processes, it is much alike with royal families. Succession is based on the bloodline. The second one is long-term strategy and legacy. Family firms tend to think of the future and may make strategic decisions that cater long-term results for legacy purposes. The third one is business ventures and consistency. Family firms are less likely to jump into new ventures. They are less likely to diversify or participate in acquisitions, and less likely to invest in research and development. The fourth one is stakeholder relations and social capital. Relationships like with stakeholders are important social capital and are also part of corporate social responsibility where a network of long-term or close associations is preferred to a new players. The fifth one is values and culture. Corporate values often mirror the family's personal values, and they also practice connected culture that has stronger feeling or emotionally attached to each other. The last one is nepotism and cronyism. Hiring decisions are more likely to be based on the family relationships, and jobs may filled with friends or close associates over more qualified candidates. Public image or emotional connections plays an important role in preservation of social emotional wealth, and ESG disclosure can be one way to preserve social emotional wealth. Therefore, it has less effects on cost of capital. The next concept is Global Reporting Initiative or GIR. Global Reporting Initiative provides a sustainability reporting standards that mostly used worldwide. Generally, the GIR standards focus on how economic, environmental, and social impacts of a company's activities contribute to sustainable development. GIR standards has a different modular that focuses on each part like environmental, social, and governance. These standards are also being regularly updated or adding new guidelines to cater to changes in the world. By using these standards or sustainability reporting, this can help your stakeholders or investors to see you're being trustworthy. It has almost the same as the purpose of financial annual report. Sustainability disclosure or reporting according to GIR standards might affect the cost of capital positively or negatively. Sustainability is often deemed to lessen the probability of scandals caused by excessive profit driven focus on companies that have a mission beyond profit. However, there are plausible reasons why sustainability might reduce the cost of capital. And that's all for my part. Thank you for listening.